So here we go. Welcome to another video. And today I'm joined by good old Stuart Watson as we discuss and talk about the talking points from the fans forum at Portman Road on Monday night. Stu, thanks for joining me. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Ross. Not too bad. Things a little bit quieter after a hectic week last week with the midweek game, transfer deadline day, long trip to Accrington. We're now getting into the meat of the season now, aren't we?
Yes, we are indeed, my mate. It's nice to have a nice little rest on Tuesday night. No travelling anywhere, no travelling to Portman Road. But the fans forum was in full swing on Monday night. We both watched it. A lot of people watched it live, streamed and all that. We had the chairman Mike O'Leary, CEO Mark Ashton, manager Kieran McKennas, and a director of supporter engagement Scott Paul that made up the panel. As a whole, Stu, this is the fourth fans forum they've done since last season, the first of this season. It's just a great opportunity for fans to ask some questions and for the people in charge of the club to be there and to answer those questions.
Yeah, it's just night and day, isn't it, to previous regimes? The accessibility of the club hierarchy here, that the way that they're willing to be so open and engage with the fan base is so refreshing. I've been to many sort of supporters AGMs over the years. As you say, this is a newly introduced thing, which is more than just an annual meeting. They're going to do, I think, well, they did 3 last season, as you say, the first of this. It's just a chance for supporters to put their questions to those in charge at the top end of the club. And the feel good factor was just tangible in the room on Tuesday night. 150 supporters that had to be selected by ballot because so many wanted to be there. You mentioned the panel at the front of the room went on for hour and a half, 2 hours, hosted by Stephen Foster, who people will know from BBC Suffolk and from doing the PA announcements at Portman Road. And really good evening, real good feel good factor about it.
Indeed, and Mark Ashton's now the new manager of Ipswich Town Football Club. It sounds like, of course, Fosbach's he's saying that, but it's a big thing, being on that stage and all those people in attendance and the big dogs of Ipswich Town in front of you. And shall we start, Stu, with the question that was always going to be asked on the night? Kieran McKenna's future. We're riding high. He's been nominated for manager of the month for August because of our unbeaten start. And it was always going to be a question he was going to get ready to ask, and I think he answered it pretty well.
Yeah, he got asked this at one of these events last year as well, and obviously the better he does as Ipswich Town manager, the more people are going to get nervy about how long can we keep hold of Kieran McKenna. He's 36 years of age, has made a seamless transition into senior management, 50-something% win ratio, Ipswich Town top of the league. We're at the stage of the season remarkably already where clubs up and down the land are sacking managers. And so, yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a bit of this kind of nervous wait every time someone's getting linked to managers and looking to appoint. So Kieran was asked fairly straight, can your own personal ambitions be met here at Ipswich Town? And he reiterated what he said very sensibly and articulately in the past, is that he came to Ipswich Town for a reason. Yes, he could have waited and got jobs at a higher level, he felt, when leaving Manchester United, but he chose Ipswich because it was a project that it's got investment behind it, that it's this sleeping giant, not his words, but a club that is ready to rise again. And said everything he's seen so far backs up his judgment. He's very comfortable with that, and that his focus is on the short, medium and long-term future of this football club. So the cynic would say he's not going to say anything different. The true test will be when someone does actually come knocking on his door, and someone that is maybe that interesting project elsewhere. But no, I think he said all the right things and got a nice round of applause from the room.
And I think I just love hearing what Kieran McKenna's got to say. He really does go in depth with his answers, and I think that's what fans probably like to hear, because some people could just be very quick and snappy and just say a few words, but he really goes in depth, and I like that about him. And one question that got asked as well was keeping hold of players, which I think we don't probably ask that often, because think we're building a squad here, but we've also got players who are probably not League One level. They're Championship players, really, like Connor Chaplin, Sam Morsey and co. And of course, that was asked, and he answered it very well as well.
Yeah, that was kind of off the back of the answer that we've just discussed. And he said, I think that a lot of the players here are in the same boat as me, in that, yes, they could play at a higher level, but they've chosen Ipswich for a reason, because they want to be part of something special and they feel this club is moving in the right direction. So kind of allayed any fears that clubs might come looking for those players. Um, so yeah, handled those two questions very well.
Yeah, and let's talk about the sort of recruitment and everything like that, identifying players. And there's a one really important line that came from Kieran McKenna about if you want to be here, you need really want to be here, basically. And it sounded like in the summer there's a few players who maybe just came here for the dosh instead of actually wanting to be here.
Yeah, it was part of a wider discussion about recruitment in general and how that works. Someone sort of said, "Is it? It sounds like it's moved on from the days of a scout stood in their sheepskin coat on a Tuesday night." And McKenna said, "Well, there is still room for that. We do have scouts up and down the land, but of course now data analysis, video is a massive part of that. And Sam Williams, who's come across to be head of recruitment from Manchester United, is putting together his team still." Behind the scenes already, and mentioned just a few days on from the summer window being shut that sort of already eyes turned to January. But you're right in terms of the recruitment. He said this summer, number one top of my priorities was that players had to be hungry to be here. They had to be running towards Ipswich Town. They had to be absolutely desperate to sign for this football club. And if we didn't feel that was the case, we would walk away from the deal. And Mark Ashton chipped in and said we did walk away from some deals. So obviously that's led to speculation amongst supporters that maybe Bersant Salina, maybe George Hurst, people like that were well speculated in the summer fell into that bracket. I don't know, but he was very clear that the 9 players that ultimately have come through the door are bang up for the challenge of getting Ipswich Town promoted from League One and want to be here.
Definitely. And I want to move just on one person, one man who is part of the panel, Mike O'Leary. Every time we hear from him, he's I love the guy. You know, everything he says, we don't hear from him often. He's the chairman. I'm sure he's working hard behind the scenes, doing a lot of stuff. But once again, when he's part of these panels, he says some really good stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's like your favourite granddad, isn't he? He's
Yeah.
Someone who I think you could sit and listen to tell stories for a long time. He's very, very calm. When he speaks, you listen, and he's just comes across as very wise. And he sort of quipped early on that there was a lot of early excitement in the chat about Ipswich's start to the season, and he just said, "I'm the boring grey-haired old one in the corner who doesn't get too high with the highs and doesn't get too low with the lows. I've seen it before." But even he had a little smile to himself and said, "Do you know what? The feel-good factor around this town is tangible, and the desire, this collective goodwill we can feel sort of driving this club on." He sort of paused and smiled and said, "That's really special. And this is a man who's seen a bit over the years. So yeah, that was a nice moment.
And some people like sort of going back to when the Kobolds were in charge, and how their sort of approach everything like that, because he's from that generation, and yeah, I think people just like to give him some appreciation, Michael Leary, because he does some good stuff, and yeah, when he speaks, he's fantastic, and
I think he's a really important sounding board for Mark Ashton. Actually,
yeah,
Mark's kind of been his protege. They've worked in and outside of football over the years, and I think Mark is this bundle of energy who's trying to change everything yesterday, let alone tomorrow. And I think Mike O'Leary is is quite a nice little sounding board. Might just tell him to calm down, slow down sometimes, and you can just bounce some ideas off of him. So yeah, you're right. He might not be at the club day in day out, but I think he's playing quite an important role.
I think so too. And let's talk about the academy, Stu. That always gets brought up, at these fan forums or just in a discussion. And category one, and all that sort of stuff. And both Mark Ashton and Kieran McKenna, said heavily about it. The future of the academy is, want to be best for business and also football perspective. And it is a vital part of this football club, but it doesn't always need to be category one, does it?
No, it's a hot topic at the moment, the academy, isn't it? Luke Wolfenden is really the only homegrown player in the Ipswich matchday squad. week in, week out. We've got players going out on loan. We've had players leave, of course, Tyrese Simpson, Liam Gibbs. So despite all the good things that are happening at the moment, that's just maybe a little doubt in some people's minds that this fine tradition and history at Ipswich Town of producing our own is maybe being sidelined a little bit, and that got brought up on the night. Both Mark Ashton and Kieran McKennas were very quick to say it's an important, vital part of the club still. Mark Ashton was quick to say that, yes, you hear about players that leave, but you don't necessarily hear about the ones that stay. He used an example of an unnamed player from the 14/15s who went away and spoke to a big Premier League club in the summer and decided, after speaking to their family, that they would stay at Ipswich, that there was a better pathway here. And Kieran McKennas obviously said, with my background, it's academy football has a special place in my heart. He came through academy as a player at Tottenham. He's done all of his coaching really as an academy manager at both Tottenham and Manchester United. So he wants to develop players. It's important, but it has to be balanced against the short-term aims of this football club, and that is getting promoted as soon as possible. So the example he used is Cameron Humphreys, someone that we feel hopefully has a big future at this football club, but he's 18 and reminds people that there ain't a lot of 18-year-olds playing week in, week out in League One. So again, a pretty sensible discussion around all things academy, I think.
I think so too. And well, Stu, let's finish the video on talking about Portman Road. There's a lot of talk about the development of Portman Road, big screens, cashless. Lionesses games. It's your town women's team as well. A lot of good things was talked about that, and we're going to get more big screens, which is, I'm sure, some fans, they're not able to see the big one currently, but they're going to be all over the place.
Yeah, we've seen Portman Road change before our eyes, haven't we, over the last 12 months? Tired old stadium, wasn't it? Needed a proper bit of TLC, and it's been getting it. New, just everything all around, the new fence panels outside, the big screens gone in, and work will not stop there. As you say, someone asked, I can't see the new big screen from where I am. He plans to put any more up, and I honestly thought the answer to that would be no, but yes, there is plans to put in not big, huge screens, but one or two more medium-sized screens around the ground. There's plans for that. There was talk about what they're going to do with this land they've acquired behind the South Stand. The answer to that was nothing in the short term, but it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to purchase it. It gives us access to that stand. Lots of things that we can do with it in the long term. It's going to be all new TVs up in the concourses this side of Christmas. So the fan experience is clearly very high on the agenda of the club hierarchy. I thought Scott Paul spoke really well, someone who's clearly got a lot of experience. He talked about working for clubs like Leicester and Aston Villa in the past, and they just seem very open to hearing from fans and trying to improve that match day experience. There's plans for the fan zone to maybe have themed games, add a bit more variety to the fan zone. So lots and lots of things going on. And as you mentioned there, in terms of actual plans for how to use Portman Road, they said they're up for hosting an England women's game at some point, that maybe getting Joe Sheehan's Ipswich women's side playing on there at some stage would be good. That's going to have to wait till next season, because they're going to rip up the pitch and do all of that next summer. And concerts as well. The plan is for regular concerts to be held at Portman Road, which is something that's happened in the past with people like Red Hot Chili Peppers and Rod Stewart and various artists over the years. That's not happened in recent years, but they've now got access to that corner where the big screen is. And of course, people will wonder if Mr. Sheeran might want to finish his long-running tour or squeeze a few dates in there at some point as well. So lots of plans for Portman Road going forward, which is exciting to hear. Indeed.
And we'll end the video actually, Stu, with talking about the Pack Out PR campaign. Of course, 3 big League One fixtures at Portman Road next month. They got a free match bundle. It'll be Portsmouth at home, Lincoln at home, and of course Derby at home. Some big games. Of course, Derby is on telly. It's going to be on Sky Sports, that game. So 3 really big games. And you've covered town for over 10 years now. And Portland Road this season has been electric. You think about 20+ thousand. We could even get possibly 30,000 fans at Portland Road. Possibly, I know Mark Ashton jokingly said, "Oh, the safety people were saying, oh, we don't know if we can fit that many people in," but he's going to try to push it as much as possible.
Yeah, listen, it makes sense to get as much competitive advantage as possible for those 3 games. Portsmouth and Derby in particular look huge, don't they? And I think they've got the balancing act just right between attracting new fans and trying to boost those attendances, which have already been so impressive over the last 6 months or so of 25,000. Can we get those extra few? Can we keep attracting these new generation of fans? And you'll always then get people go, well, what about the loyal fan base and what about the season ticket holders? Well, they found a nice little balance to reward them and give them some points back and money back if they hit certain targets with the attendances. So worked brilliantly last season. It's a no-brainer to do it again. Just shows you the amount of thought that's going into things at the moment. So can't wait for those 3 games. I think the atmosphere, as you say, should be electric for those. Good stuff.
Yes, bring it on. Well, Stu, thanks for joining me. Thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video today. Let us know your talking points from the fans forum in the comments down below as well. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.